up, YouTube? It's your boy G YouTube back again with another video for you. And without any further ado, man, let's jump right into this video. So, should De'Aaron Fox be a New York Knick? Now, I'm on the fence about this one, to be honest. I'm a little bit more on the yes side, but not completely. It's like 51-49 if I'm being honest. Now, I will tell you the reasons that would be a good trade and be in the Knicks' best interest to trade for Fox. So let me start off with that. He would fit well with the personnel that we have here right now. He would gel pretty well because obviously we have Mitchell Robinson and Obi Toppin, who are particularly Obi Toppin, who's great in transition and in the pick and roll game with Mitchell Robinson. So that pick and roll penetration, especially with an aggressive attacking guard like De'Aaron Fox, and can finish well around the rim, is going to open up Mitchell Robinson and Obi Toppin's game so much, for one, because you'll see De'Aaron Fox really pushing the pace on a fast break, more so than what you would see with the likes of RJ Barrett and you'll see Julius Randle pushing the pace, but with a much more athletic and faster De'Aaron Fox, you'll see things pick up much more quickly. And especially with Mitchell Robinson, you'll see a lot more pick and rolls with him and Robinson if he were to get traded here. And also, because of his play style, he's going to be penetrating into the paint a lot. He finishes well around the rim, and other teams are going to have to respect that. And that'll open up a few more shots for the likes of RJ Barrett and Fournier, because I would say his penetration would be a bit more effective than Julius Randle's because of the moves that he's able to do, and he can probably pass out a little bit better than Julius Randle has. Not to say that Julius Randle isn't a good playmaker, he is, but I would say De'Aaron Fox has more capabilities of making those types of plays than Randle, and that's where you'll probably see the biggest improvement in the offense. Now, on the other end, though, why there wouldn't be a good trade is because Julius Randle is one of our main presence for rebounding. Obviously, he's one of our top rebounders on the team, and sure, you can give Obi Toppin more minutes, or if Marvin Bagley gets put in there, he can probably fill that void a bit, but it's not going to be filled completely, especially with a guy like Randle getting 30 something minutes a game, and being one of the best rebounders on the team. That's going to be a hard void to fill, especially that when the second unit comes in, we're already not great on the boards. So that's one thing. Even with Nerlens Noel coming off the bench, he's pretty good, but we definitely get outboarded when they put a bigger big man up against them with the second unit. So that's gonna be one issue there. And another issue is that De'Aaron Fox is an even worse shooter than Julius Randle this season. Julius Randle kicked it up last season. He's regressed. He's not shooting great this season from three. He's shooting inefficiently too, but De'Aaron Fox also brings some of those same tendencies with him in terms of shooting inconsistently and just not being a great three-point shooter in general. He's never proved to have a consistent three-point shot throughout his entire career in Sacramento, and he's coming off of his worst shooting splits this season. I think he's shooting below 30% from three, which is abysmal. Obviously, that's just unacceptable from any type of guard that you're expecting to be a scoring guard. But in anywho, it's going to really allow the defense to key in on a lot of other players on the perimeter in an isolation or 5-out setting, because they're not gonna have to worry about De'Aaron Fox shooting it too much, because he's not gonna kill them from that range. So they can play back, and it'll be an easier rotation when they know they can play back a little bit more in the paint, because he's not going to destroy you every game from three. And that's also one thing. Even though the Knicks, I think, are top 10 in three-point shooting, they are very inconsistent, because there's a lot of games where they just cannot buy a bucket. And it seems like that happens more often than not. And then there's a lot of games where they're on fire, shooting like 50+% from three, and then follow that up with a 30 or sub 30% shooting game from three. So now, all of that is really thinking in the short term. Now, if we're thinking about the long term for both of these situations, whether it is keeping Randle and playing the rest of the season with him, or trading for Fox, In the short term, it's a pretty lateral move. You're not really getting much better or worse, really, because it goes both ways. Like, you're not getting better or worse with this trade, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit worse, because Julius Randle, I would consider him overall the better player at the moment, with Fox having more potential. But again, either way, there's no improvements. And in the long term, if you're going to see if De'Aaron Fox can develop into something, and you're going to give up Randall and maybe a pick, get Marvin Bagley, and try to get him a spot in there too, probably give up another player or two, like in maybe an Alec Burks to the Kings, open up some spots for the existing players, then maybe, all right, maybe we have a point guard for the future. But we also, you'll have Quentin Grimes and backup to back him up, and you got quickly to run the two. In the long term, I think that it may be a bit more beneficial, because Julius Randle is obviously, no one has expected him to be the long-term answer. I don't think anybody will expect him to be the long-term answer. I'm not sure that he will ever be that number one guy, and I don't know if we will ever be a very successful playoff team in general, just to start off there, step one, not let alone being a championship contender with Julius Randle as the number one player. That being said, though, there are a lot of free agents coming in the next few years, and their contracts are about the same. I think Julius Randle and De'Aaron Fox, their extensions kick in next year, and they're for very similar amounts. I think De'Aaron Fox's salaries per year is a little bit more than Randle's. So it's pretty much the same. And if they wanted to make more cap room for another star, they could easily do that. It really wouldn't change the salary cap situation. It can definitely open up more potential to grow with the pieces that they have, and allow them to play just a bit more, especially with Cam Reddish being in the lineup. That will be a lot more minutes for Cam Reddish to get playing time. And if Marvin Bagley comes with him, I'm not sure how a deal like that if they would include him or not, but they most likely would. But and he'd probably get some minutes too. So it would get split around with Julius's minutes being taken significantly, along with maybe like an Alec Burks. And I think that the Knicks should most likely look to make a move this offseason or the offseason after, when there are bigger superstars available for a sign-in trade or the free agency market. Obviously, the past 2 to 3 years, we've seen a lot more sign-in trades than we have in previous years, and that's probably going to be the way going forward, when stars don't want to be with their current teams, but this team can pay them the most money, so they do a sign-in trade, so they can still get that money and still go to another team. So that's the way of the NBA right now, and that's how most likely it's going to play out. So in a couple years, you're going to have the likes of Devin Booker, going to be a free agent, Karl Anthony Towns, Nikola Jokic. Not saying that the Knicks are front runners to get any of those players, but those are options if you are able to grow this core with these young players into a successful competitive playoff team before you can take that step and get that superstar for a championship, to be a championship contender. So in my humble opinion, I believe that a move for De'Aaron Fox will probably be a good move, but it's not necessary. So if they don't make the move, don't be like, oh, because that's how Knicks fans get whenever, a big trade rumor comes around and it doesn't happen. Knicks fans just start shitting on the front office. So listen, if they don't make the move, I'm not complaining about it. If they do, good for them. I think it's a unilateral move with a bit more upside for the future if they do make the move, but I'm not complaining if they don't. So that's my 2 cents on that. And, till my next video, I'm out.